There's a great article in Salon about Richard Sherman versus Justin Bieber. I know that sounds totally random. How can that make sense? One person's a, young pop entertainer. The other one is a football player. And I wanted to get to this story on Friday, but we didn't have the time to. I'm happy we could talk about it now. But basically the point of the article is, well, look at Richard Sherman, look at Justin Bieber, and look at this white versus black mentality and who's a thug versus who's not, and what's everybody's perception of the issue. And they make a lot of points that we've been making for years on this show. So here are a couple of examples. I mean, Ryan Lochte, here's a guy who's an Olympic swimmer, a white guy. He talked nonstop about being promiscuous, about partying, about, he wore a grill. I mean, nobody ever asked if this guy was a thug. All they asked was, well, can he pull it off? Can he pull off the grill? And they called him things like, oh, he's a playboy, he plays the field. They never had disparaging negative things to say about him. It was just like, oh, the young partying kind of fella, look at him go. But when you look at somebody like Trayvon Martin, for example, well, he wore a grill too. But when Trayvon wore a grill, it was immediately evidence that he's this kind of out-of-control thug. So which is it? Why is it that in Ryan Lochte's case, well, that shows that he just wants to have fun, but in Trayvon's case, well, clearly he wants to kill people. What? You're not being consistent in your reasoning there. Look at somebody like Levi Johnston, for example. He's the Palin baby daddy. Well, okay, on MySpace in 2007, he said, quote, I'm a fucking redneck, but I live to play hockey. I like to go camping and hang out with the boys, do some fishing, shoot some shit, and just fucking chill, I guess. You fuck with me, I'll kick ass. Okay, this guy was cheered at the Republican National Convention and held up as an all-American boy. Now, can you imagine for a second if it was vice versa? So if President Obama had a daughter that was the, Bristol Palin's age at the time, and she had sex with a young black kid who said something similar to that on MySpace or on Facebook or whatever, do you think that, the Republicans with all-American boy in an all-American way? I mean, look at him just acting traditional in that way. No, they wouldn't do that at all. They would do the opposite. They would immediately call him a thug. They would say, look at the moral values that they're pushing. This is social decay, another one of the, the code words that they use ad nauseum. And, I mean, this is the main point here. This is the crux of the issue, and this gets back to the Justin Bieber, Richard Sherman thing. So when it comes to Justin Bieber, here's a guy, smokes weed, drinks booze, pops pills, okay? Just recently sent a picture of his dick when it was erect to Selena Gomez after they broke up, in the midst of a rant, talking about how you want this back, yada yada, right? And then started yelling at her too, by the way. But he did all those things, and he was caught street racing in a yellow Lamborghini, I think it was, while high. And Justin Bieber, thug. Nobody called him a thug. Oh, teenage pop star might have lost his way a little bit. Bill O'Reilly said, I feel bad for the kid. Richard Sherman, a guy who just was a little loud in an interview and said, yeah, I'm coming for him. I'm number one. I'm the best in the game or whatever. Crabtree this, Crabtree that. And by the way, Crabtree shoved his face right before that interview, so we had a reason to be upset, right? So, but just because Richard Sherman is black, remember, no marijuana, no pills, no sending dick pics, no street racing, doesn't matter. Richard Sherman's the thug. Justin Bieber is the all-American young boy who's a pop star who lost his way a little bit. He'll be all right. Can you see the difference here? Can you see that racism is basically these inherent assumption on top of inherent assumption? And it doesn't matter because it's all rationalization based on your premise. A racist will just rationalize based on their premise. You grandfather in all the thuggish action of white people and say, well, no, it's just an all-American boy standing up for his people, like when the people fight in hockey, right? But in the NFL or in the NBA, if they fought like they do in hockey, they would, thugs, gangsters, look at that, perpetuating this culture of social decay. I mean, they get taught this way from when they're young. You know how they are. So it's a massive double standard, and it's so transparent at this point. That's the only good news. It's so transparent at this point that, we'll call it out. Other outlets will call it out. I mean, Twitter's on top of this stuff nonstop. Facebook, too. I know it sounds funny, but it's true. And we've gotten to the point where we could illuminate this, shine a spotlight on it, and we can realize the hypocrisy and the nonsense of the double standard.